When we start thinking about this, eventually what's going to happen is you're going to have some templates that are located on the P drive that you'll be working with. These templates will have registration marks on them so we can line up our t-shirt to the platen. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to go over and click on the print option across the top of the screen because we're dealing with a printed document. We're going to go ahead and rename this preset. We're going to call this screen printing example. We're going to make sure that we change our measurement over to inches. That's what we're dealing with today. And let's go ahead and make this so that it is 11 inches wide. I'm going to leave it up. By 14. 11 by 14. Once you've got an 11 by 14 document, you've got a name given to it, screen printing example 1. Or for me, it's going to be example 1. For you guys, just be example. Go ahead and click create. What we just created is going to be the basic size for our t-shirt. When we start thinking about the width and the height that we have the availability to print on, we'll take a look at one of these. This is called a platen. If you look back here, this is called a platen. This is what your t-shirt is going to be held onto when we go to print. And the working space on this is actually 16 by 16. So if we create a document that's 11 by 14, generally that's what you get from middle of your pec to your other pec is about 11 to 12 inches is somewhere in there what most people will do. And then our height will bring us somewhere down by our belly button. We do have some extended platens, but that's going to be for second semester printing only. So we've got this document here. This is our working piece. We're going to go ahead and do some things really quick. Let's go ahead and do a, let's talk about the type of file really quick that we're going to deal with here. So Illustrator, we haven't really worked with it much before, but this program is going to allow us to work with what's called vector graphics. That's a new type of graphic for us. Up until this point, we've been dealing with InDesign and dealing with rasters. Rasters are going to be this pixel-based image. Say I take a picture on my cell phone, that's what I end up with. It's going to be a full color piece. It's going to be broken up into these tiny little dots. Not here in Illustrator. We're going to be dealing with what's called a vector. Vectors are going to be scalable graphics. We're going to get these from graphic stock, or we're going to make it like text is also considered a vector graphic. And these will allow us to create really smooth, clean t-shirt designs. I would say majority, maybe 80% to 90% of the t-shirts we design here for printing for the school are made in Illustrator. It's probably one of the better programs to make them in. Let's go ahead and take a look at file formats really quick. There's two that we need to circle. File formats on that piece of paper that's in front of you. We've got the .ai, which is going to be the native Illustrator file. It will only open in Illustrator. But the one that's more important to us is that .eps. Go ahead and circle .eps, draw a little star next to it, and say that graphic stock files. When we go to graphic stock, we want to be looking for these .eps files. That's going to be a vector file. So the cool thing about this is that when we go out to graphic stock, most of the images are probably going to come down in full color. But since it's in this EPS file format, we can open it up in Illustrator, and we can go ahead and turn pieces into black and white when we go to print. And black and white's an important thing as well. So let me grab some examples, and I'll show you those real quick. All right, kind of look back here at me. This here is a screen. This has been a used one. It's got it's been printed. It did a t-shirt already. But this open area that you see inside of here, that's called our stencil. That's the spot where the ink is going to come through the t-shirt, right? That's going to make it onto there. It's also got some registration marks that we see kind of across the top. And the piece that we're trying to make in the computer right now is actually this. This is called vellum. This is what's going to allow us to burn the image onto the screen. The blue stuff that we see here is photosensitive, right? So currently all of our screens are hanging out in the dark. And when they come out, the UV light will start to harden this blue film that's on here. And the areas that are not exposed to light will wash out because they're water soluble. So this piece of paper here is technically going to get taped to the back here. and then a light is going to hit it, and the areas where the light does not pass through the black area will be water soluble and it washes out. So our goal is to create this. So when we design everything today, and this point forward, even though maybe we're going to use red ink or blue ink or yellow ink on our t-shirt, we're still designing it in only black. That's a super important piece to understand. We're not going to design our t-shirt in any color other than black on our computer. When we see white, we'll think about white as being transparent. Okay? So that wherever you see white would be technically the t-shirt color coming through. Black is going to be the ink you're putting onto there. You'll choose the color of the ink once you get back to the screen printing area, and we'll have our first t-shirt right there. So now that we kind of got some of those basics going on, let's go ahead and flip over to like page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to the one that has fills and strokes up top. We're going to skip over some of the other stuff. Fills and strokes, it's up on top of the page. Go locate that. It's important that we understand how to go ahead and create some basic shapes and how to fill them in and apply the right color to them. If we take a look at the main screen right now, you can see that we have some tools up here. We're going to just talk about the first couple ones today. We've got a black arrow and a white arrow. Both of them are super important to us. They both do different things, but also we'll be using both of them throughout the process in the next couple days. We've got the pen tool, which if you've taken Illustrator before, you can use, but we're not going to get to it if you haven't. We're going to be focusing on the type, the line tool, and the shape tool today. So let's find that rectangle tool real quick. Everybody go ahead and locate that rectangle tool. It's one of those special tools that has a black dot in the lower right hand corner. If we go ahead and we click and hold, we end up getting a bunch of other tools that pop up, right? We've got the rectangle, the rounded, the ellipse, the polygon, the star, and the flare. We're going to start off with the rectangle today. Once we get done with that, we'll move on and try some of the other pieces. So what I'd like you to do today is to go ahead and draw me a rectangle on your screen. Just draw me a basic rectangle, please. Okay, now that we got that done, who can tell me the attributes? What is the fill color right now? What is the stroke color of this object?
The fill is white.
The fill is white. Good job.
The stroke is basic 1 point.
What color is the stroke?
Black.
Black. How do you know that? Where did you find that information?
Look, if you take a look at the top right-hand corner.
So Kimar says if we take a look at the top left-hand corner, if we look at my screen, the shape is currently selected. It's got the handles on it. We go to the top, and we can see it up here. It says rectangle. We've got the first one, which is going to be our fill. The second was going to be our stroke. That's a good way to do it. Or I could have gone to my toolbox, and I could have seen my fill and my stroke sitting right there. So what we're going to do is I want to get rid of the stroke right now, and I want to turn this just into a solid black fill. But there's some important things we need to understand about the color black. So let's get rid of the stroke first. Let's turn that off. So the easiest way to do that is to go to your toolbox, make sure the stroke is on top. So I'll click on it once to bring it to the front, and I'll push the red X and it goes away. So if your toolbox isn't double wide, go ahead and do that right now. It's probably the easiest way to interact with this today. So I push the little dots up here and it makes it double wide.
Wait, which one?
These little dots right here, so if you got a single toolbar, like a single row, it'll make it double if you go that way, and then it makes it so you can see all the pieces a little bit better. Then we need to bring our fill to the front, so I'll click on it, and it came to the front of the stack there. So I've got this object, it's got a white fill on it right now. I'm going to double click on the swatch, the fill swatch, double click. A color picker will pop up. You notice we've got some different values in there. We have an HSB, an RGB, and a CMYK. And like I said earlier, not all blacks are created equal when it comes to CMYK versus RGB. We want to make sure we choose the right one. If we think about CMYK black, right? Look at the screen. There really isn't much you can do besides look at the screen on this one, people. We look at the values over here in CMYK, and if I type in 100% here and click over, it's going to make it black, but look where the picker is. It's somewhere up here. It's not truly black. If I want truly black, I have to go to the corner. And we look at our RGB values, and those aren't exactly 0, 0, 0 either. When we go to make a screen, since we're going to be using a laser printer to create our vellums for screen printing, we want to create the darkest, densest black that we can do. And if we take a look, right now we're printing only the black toner from the machine. I want to be able to print cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. So I create this really dense, thick layer of toner. Because the idea is, if I'd like to take a look at this piece of vellum, that I'm going to be blocking light with it. So if I only do 100% K, it's not the thickest, densest black I can create. I want to do RGB black. So that's important. That's going to create a nice, dense, dark, shiny black on the paper there. So I want to go over to the RGB values. I want to type in 0, 0, 0. And notice where it put our little dot. And then look at our CMYK values. Now when I print to the color printer, what's going to happen? It's going to print some cyan, it's going to print some magenta, it's going to print some yellow, and it's going to print some K. So it's going to add a lot of toner to the page to create that nice, dense, rich black. So what I would do off to the side of my paper there is I would write down black must be RGB black, or black. Always use RGB black when creating screen printing stuff. And you want to make sure your values are 0, 0, 0 for that. And then we'll go ahead and click OK, and that'll make a black box for us. So what else can we do with the shape that we have currently on our screen? We've got this just simple rectangle. Everybody, you see you've got these dots in the corner, right? You've got these tiny little blue dots in the corner. If I click on it once, just click once on one of the dots, what it will do is activate the point for me. I can click and I can pull on that, and I'm rounding just one corner of that box. Go ahead and click on one of the points with your black arrow. We're using just the selection tool currently, and that is going to round one of the corners for me. Anybody need help with rounding a corner? All right, what if I want to round all of them at the same time? You can hold shift and you can select multiple points, or I can click and not let go and just pull, and it will select all of them at the same time and round all of my corners for me. If you just click and pull. Anybody need help with rounding all of the corners at once?
Oh, that's easy. See that?
Okay. Let's go ahead. I want this to have no fill, but I want this to have a stroke of 7. Go ahead and try doing that. I would like a stroke of 7 on this particular shape that we just made with no fill. So no fill, stroke of 7. Your stroke should be black. Make sure you select your object before you start to do stuff, otherwise it won't work properly. White, no fill, black stroke. Who needs help? It looks like most of you guys did it successfully. You got to remember that InDesign, Illustrator, and Photoshop are all basically the same, so we got to just look for the similar icons. If we take a look, we got this shape selected. There's a couple different places I can change my stroke. So over here in our toolbox, you just want to make sure that you've got no fill being applied and that you've got your stroke being black. But where do I go to change my stroke weight? With it being selected, over here on the side, you're looking for the strokes panel. You can choose that if you would like. It's got the little lines on it. And this panel here does give us a lot of different things that we can deal with. I want everybody to try to find this panel for me, the strokes panel. Open it up. If you don't see the options, there's a little drop-down box in the upper right-hand corner, those lines. Click on it and say Show Options.
we lost the hour.
Everybody got it? We want to show options. We want to be able to see all of the options. So there are some things inside of here that we can play with. It says caps, corners, and a line stroke. We can play with those if we wanted to, but that's really not going to affect much on this. Where it says arrowhead though, open up the arrowhead portion. And scroll down to the bottom and choose one of the fingers. So if you want a big finger for your t-shirt, you can use that. If you want to put an arrowhead on there, you could do that. That would be a way you can play with those different pieces. And the thicker I make my stroke, the bigger the finger will get. Everybody able to find that out? Then you've got arrowheads and arrow tails, lots of different things you can play with. You can put a pair of scissors on there.
You can put scissors on there? I think I'm going to use that.
You figure it out? You need help. Right here. If you're ever looking for more options, there's those lines right there. Yeah, click on it and they show options. And now here are your arrowheads. Are you going to have this E or E? There you go. Now you can click on that box, the drop down box. Yep. Scroll through there. Girls, you good over there? You need help. What? You sure? I don't see a finger or an arrowhead.
Hey, this shit.
Okay, next.
Hey, young boy.
Let us start making our t-shirts.
No. Next thing we're going to do, get your line tool. Go to your toolbox, grab your line tool. Draw me a straight line on the page, please. Make it have a width, or the stroke weight of 10. A straight line with a stroke weight of 10.
Mr. Barr,
Yes, Kimar.
who's Dino?
What?
Who's Dino?
I don't know. Stroke weight of 10, please. Okay, now we've got this done. What we're going to play with is a tool that's not listed in your packet, so you're going to have to write this off to the side there. We're going to play with what's called the width tool, so go ahead and try to write the width tool down on your paper. And it's looking like this right here. This is the tool we're looking for.
It looks like a sea monster.
Yes, it looks kind of like a sea monster, I guess. I've never looked at it that way, but I see it. So go ahead and click on that. Now, here's the cool thing about this tool. Anytime you have a stroke being applied to a shape or a path, we can go ahead and add a custom profile to it using this tool. So currently we have that long line selected. With that width tool, go out to the line and give it a quick pull. You can see that you can create these custom profiles on your line. This will add some interest elements to your shirt. You can change the end cap. That would probably be a good thing at this point, so it's not straight. You can make it so that it's rounded. So you got a round end on it. So go ahead and give that a try. I'll walk around and take a look and see if you were able to apply that. If you're feeling good about it, you can probably even apply it to the finger line that we made. It'll go to that because it has a stroke on it.
What's even the purpose of, like, what do you mean I'm making?
Well, you got a little aggressive with yours there, James.
I'm just going to make a volcano.
Hey, he got an afro, dude. Hey, that look like an afro, Drake. Let's go.
Anybody stuck on using the width tool?
I don't even know what I'm doing.
Okay, so don't get too aggressive with this because we're going to do some other stuff to this line. So if you got yours really out of whack, just delete it and draw a new line real quick. But what is the shortcut to undo if I made some mistakes?
Control Z.
Control Z is correct. So if you didn't know that, you could write that down.
And if you want to go back forward, you went back too far. Control shift.
All right, let's go ahead and apply like a really cool brush stroke to this. It's not on the sheet that I gave to you either, but these are all things that will help you make a good t-shirt design. So I've got this real basic line with a profile being applied to it. Let's go to Window. Let's go to Brushes, Window, Brushes. Window, Brushes. There are going to be some basic brushes that are loaded in this current panel right now, but let's go ahead and get some more advanced ones. If you take a look at the screen here, we're looking for the books in the corner of the panel. And let's go ahead and go down to the artistic, and we'll go to the paint brushes.
Wait, how you? I don't got that.
You have to click on the books in the lower left-hand corner of the panel.
I did.
Yep, click on it.
It's not working. I'm clicking on it.
Once you've clicked on it, you should be able to go to the artistics. We're going to paintbrushes. And I'll go ahead and click on that. It should go ahead and apply that to your line. So if you want to have a fun custom line, you can go ahead and click on those. You could print these on a t-shirt if you were looking for it.
Bro, I'm ready to start printing today.
We are not ready to start printing today.
Yeah, I just want to start working on my t-shirt.
It's not going to happen.
I'm finna have 21 Savage. You know who that is?
Yes.
No, you don't. You know 21 Savage is?
Yes.
Sing a little song.
I don't know. I don't sing, Kimar. I don't sing.
I pull up and out. I pull up and out.
So we got some basic lines going on there. Let's go ahead and draw some other types of shapes now. Go find your star tool for me. Find your star. Hey. Find your star tool. Star tool is going to be hiding underneath your rectangle tool. It's one of those hidden tools that we have.
I got it.
All right, so when we draw a star, there's a couple different ways we can do it. Let's click on your screen once. By clicking on your screen once, it should bring up a dialog box. Get in here. By clicking on your screen once, you got a couple things that take place. You now have the ability to do what's called radiuses. We got radius 1, radius 2, and we've got points. Radius 1 is going to be the inner radius of your star. Radius 2 is going to be the outside of your star, the top points. And then you've got the number of points you can create. Go ahead and create me your own little star on your screen, please, and give it a fill of black. No stroke.
Who's Cameron? Who's Cameron Carey? You said no stroke.
No stroke, fill of black.
Cam Carey's my father. Hey, did you see that thing? Did you get it? I said that's right.
You've got no fill, so we have to actually get the stroke. So select your star again. Now switch it to fill, not stroke.
My star just
So when you're clicking, you're clicking through. Does that make sense? So go back to your watch. Go to your toolbox. Just watch. There's a little arrow you can flip in your toolbox. Over. Yeah, there you go. Now you can click and drag it around.
Hey, why isn't this fine?
Type 0.
Last year you started on that.
What's your question? Your star will not move. Okay, listen up. We've got this going around across the room in a couple different places. People are not able to move their star. There's probably the main reason is when you click on it and you don't have a fill, it's going to click through it and it's going to think you're deselecting from it. So you got to make sure that your star has got a fill so you can move it around. All right, so we're going to apply some custom stuff to this star. This star is kind of boring. Let's go ahead and jazz it up a little bit, make it a fancy star. So with your star being selected as an object, I need to have my black arrow. I need to click on the star. I'm going to go to the Effect menu up top. So go to the Effect menu. And we're going to go to where it says Distort and Transform. And we're going to go to Pucker and Bloat. And we'll go Preview. And we can slide it either way, and we can create some weird stuff.
Salamander.
Effects,
Hey, Brandon.
Distort, and Transform.
Brandon,
We did Pucker
I'm
and
not gonna
Bloat.
lie to you, I really don't like how you put me down and how you talk to me.
It looks like a
I
fog.
feel like when I come to school, I'm supposed to be feeling safe.
So-
I don't feel safe.
With this, there's a lot of other effects inside of there you can play with. A lot of this program is trial and error and playing and just messing around with it, making mistakes and trying to fix it, and you end up with some cool stuff sometimes. So go ahead and click OK. So get it where you want. You can resize this by holding Shift if you want to make it proportional. But that's some pretty easy stuff right there. We're just dealing with some basic shapes. Let's talk about text now real quick. So when we think about text, when we were in InDesign, what do we have to do in order to get text onto a page? What do we have to do? We have to make a text box. And technically that's called container typing. We want to do what's called point type inside of Illustrator. So when we take our text tool, we come over here and grab it, and we click, we're not going to make a box anymore to type in Illustrator. We're going to do what's called point type. So go ahead, get your text tool, click once on your screen. By clicking on your screen once, you should end up getting some filler text.
Yes, that's Norman.
Lorem ipsum. So we've got this. This is some filler text. It just pops up. It tells you made a point type. Let's go ahead and type a word out really quick. And then everybody go ahead and try to go find Futura. Let's go change the font type to Futura. So you either have to go to your characters panel or you have to go to search. You're going to go to the F's.
Hey, how you?
Futura. Do you guys have it?
No.
It's not.
You guys don't have it?
No.
Oh,
Maybe
that's
you
so
should download
sad.
it to the computer.
Let's go Franklin Gothic Heavy.
Oh, what's it?
Wait.
Let's just do the regular. And see, here's the thing. I'm not going to tell you size because this is what we're going to do if you watch the screen. All right? If we...
Hey, it didn't change.
I'm going to make this bold real quick. So I've got this. The cool thing about point type inside of Illustrator is if I hold Shift and grab it in the corner, I can quickly scale my font. I don't even have to type in a size anymore. That's the cool thing about using point type. Size does exist. You could do it, but it's easier to select it as an object, grab it in the corner by the handle, hold Shift, and drag. So go ahead and do that. Make your text bigger on your screen. I'll walk around and make sure everybody's there.
Oh, yeah.
Make it big. Hold Shift when you're doing it because it does it proportionately for me. If you were to flip over to the next page in your document, it does talk about the difference between point type and container type. So when we think about t-shirt design, most of the time we look at a t-shirt, it's probably going to have capital letters, correct? There are some easy ways we can change that in here. So have your text selected as an object. And then go to the Type menu up top. Go to Type. Go find Case Change. Type, Case Change, and choose Upper.
Type? Font change? I don't see font change.
Change case. It's right below it. and go to upper. Or you can right click on it as well, I'm pretty sure.
Hey, we lost the hour, didn't we?
No, it's not until November. Change case, upper. So this is a way you can go back and forth. You can do upper, you can do sentence case, but this is an easy way to change it so you don't have to retype all of your stuff. If you look at that page that's in front of you, it shows a bunch of different tools there. We've got type, area type, type on a path, vertical. We're going to play with the one on the bottom that says touch type right now. This will be the last thing we do today. And then when we come back, we'll play with some other things. So go over to your text tool, click and hold, and get the touch type. Get the touch type tool. It's down on the bottom of the list. Touch type. Go ahead and grab your touch type.
Yeah. Oh, you hold it. Sorry.
Kimar, touch type. You get that tool, you go over to your word, you click on it. You'll notice that you get a box around a letter. That's going to allow you to increase just the size
Something happened to my computer.
of one letter, and you can move it around, reposition it. You can nudge it with your arrow key. You can put some more space into it. But this will allow you to reposition text within inside of itself.
Look, I turned my U into an N.
Yeah.
Bro, you need to.
Touch type. Play with yourself. Touch type. Go on. Get touch type up.
It's broken.
How's it broken?
see this?
Steering control Y.
What I do?
Grab
What?
a corner, get to it.
Oh.
So you make a max.
Hold this.
Hey, hey.
Like hold it. And then touch it.
Is it how you do it?
And then just touch one.
Hey, how you get to that? How you do it?
You got to have it selected as an object.
How you do that? It is.
No, it's not. You got to select it as text. Just get your black arrow.
What?
And now go to type, the type tool. Type tool.
Type.
Click and hold. Touch type. Now click on a letter. Now you can make it bigger, smaller, rotate them, move them around. All right, this is going to be it for today. This is where the other class stops. So we're going to do a file save as. We're going to save this to our iDrive. And remember, over the weekend, what I would suggest for t-shirt stuff, if you find a t-shirt that you like on the internet or you see one in a store, let's start gathering ideas. We all have a cell phone. Snap a quick picture of it. So we've gathered up like this book of ideas, and we'll come back in a couple days from now, and we'll start to try to build our own custom t-shirt. But start snapping ideas. That's your assignment for the weekend. Come back with at least 5 ideas.
Do you want these back?
No, the packet is yours to keep. If you already think you got the perfect idea, I still want 5 more ideas.
Do we have to have 5 ideas?
You do. Come back with 5.
That's our like homework assignment.
Yes.
I just have so many ideas.
It's like a tunnel running through your head.
Yeah.
Doesn't stop.
It's just, they're just, that's what my brain's filled with.
James, I've been waiting for